Welcome back. This segment of the Sports Source brought to you by Daniel Hood Roofing. Easy financing and no down payment. No third-party contractors. Free online estimates. And they handle your insurance company so you don't have to. You put all that together with a history of putting quality roofs on East Tennessee homes, and you just can't beat Daniel Hood Roofing. And you can get more information about them, including just dozens of testimonials at danielhoodroofing.com. They do great work, and Daniel, I guarantee you, you're not going to find anybody in this town who's more concerned about taking care of his clients than Daniel Hood. danielhoodroofing.com today, or give them a call because they have operators standing by. All right. Colorado coach Deion Sanders has made headlines and made a lot of money for guys at The Athletic, for example, by running off more than 60 players. Ran off 60 players this offseason for his new Colorado roster, replacing them with guys out of the transfer portal. Meanwhile, you got a place like Michigan State had a starting quarterback just up and leaves and goes to Auburn. No doubt there was NIL involved there to get him to Auburn. But when you look at mid-season, the guy who was a starter here last year transfers this place, and he's going to be the guy. You've got 60 players. You're just cleaning house. You brought him in, and Deion Sanders made no bones about it from the beginning. And, David, you were out there. You did some great work for The Athletic. You covered their spring game. You had a great piece on all the guys that were being run out, and a lot of those guys were like, hey, he was fine. I never got to meet him. He looked right past us.
Nice,
He hadn't have any idea who I am. He wasn't going to keep me no matter what. All right, my question is this good for college football? Not for the players. I know where you're going. Is it good for college football overall that it's every year just shake it up and throw it back out there?
I think the artifice of college football as a nonprofit enterprise is falling away, and more people are realizing this is a business. And the problem is that most businesses have employees. And so ultimately, this is the other side of the NIL coin because people got all mad about what Deion did. Everything he did is very within the rules. You combine the lack of the 25 signee cap with the NCAA bylaw passed like 2012-ish that basically allows first-year coaches to walk in and run people off and just say, hey, you can keep your scholarship, but you're not on the football roster. Well, people want to play football. I can think of at least 2 coaches I know of that wish they could have done this last year and couldn't. Coaches would love to do this, but there's obviously some fallout, and it makes people mad and all these things, and local recruiting and politics and all that stuff.
Puts pressure on the coach, too, because Deion better not go 2-10 this year.
Well, that's an improvement if he goes 2-10 in Colorado. But ultimately,
he'll take some heat, though.
Yeah, but ultimately that's the other side of this business. And so, players have a lot of freedom. The coaches don't love that. But the coaches, especially first-year coaches, have a lot of freedom to do the rosters they want and sort of process guys in unsavory ways. So, again, I think we're getting to a place where more than ever you have 2 sides that are very motivated to make players employees and actually collect checks from university. That has a bajillion hurdles, but you've never had people that are motivated to do that. And I think that is where college football is hurtling. So to answer your question, yes, it's good.
You think it's good for college football? The interesting thing, if you get to the point with their contracts, I'll feel better about it. I don't like 60 kids getting run off.
Yeah, we're going to get to there. I think it's going to be a while, but we'll get there.
But here's the thing. You want your money? Sign the contract. You're not going anywhere.
Yes.
You're stuck here.
Yes.
And I don't care that you're not playing. I don't care that you don't get to see mommy and daddy. You get your money, you sign the deal. If it's 50% both ways, if it's a 50-50 deal, I'm cool with it. I don't think it's good for the sport, though. Ryan, where are you?
Well, that's the long-term game. I think that we've got to answer the employee or not employee question at some point. But in the meantime, there is something the NCAA could do about this. The rule change that opened the door for Deion Sanders to do this is they got rid of the 25 signee limit for 2 years as a test case to say, what do we do with this transfer portal stuff?
Right.
A Deion Sanders test case like this allows them to maybe go back in and say, hey, there needs to be some limit here, right? Does it need to be 40, 35? We've got to figure out a number that makes sense. Maybe this causes them to go back to the table when they otherwise wouldn't have. So I'm interested in seeing the reaction to this. Are coaches across the country okay with running off 60 players, or does this cause them to say we've got to draw the line somewhere because this is out of control?
It's a tough spot to be in because, when there is coaching changes, and guys like Tennessee dealt with this when they had, 35 guys enter the portal. Well, if you have a signing cap, then the coach gets hamstrung. Now, the rules, as stated, one of the reasons why Deion ruffled so many feathers is this is not the spirit of the rule. You can exercise within the rule, but this is not what the rule is designed to do, okay? Yeah. It's designed to help coaches. It's aid in first-year coach. That's the name of the bylaw, so that if you have 35 guys who say, I don't want to be with this guy, and they leave, that it doesn't take you 5-year, like Kansas got stuck in this where they had like 55 scholarship players for like 2 years under David Beatty. That's what they're trying to avoid. So like, I don't know where you get to a middle ground of like, what constitutes running a guy off versus a guy leaving. That's like a very nebulous definition. So you're in a tough spot. You got to do something in the short term. But yeah, there's no clean answers.
No.
It's a question. Speaking of Deion, the thing that I find is very unclean is you had, I think it was your story. There have been so many stories written. My apologies.
There'll be
so
more.
many stories written
There'll
about
be more. Don't
Deion
worry.
Sanders. Everybody's clicking that. But someone at some point made the point that he's talking to his team and he's telling them, "We don't want me first players here." I'm like, wait a second. That's coming out of Deion Sanders' mouth? We don't. Did you see what he was wearing on the sideline at the spring game where he had the cowboy hat, but his jacket,
Prime.
there was not a
No
Colorado,
CU.
there was no Colorado logo, just his own personal brand logo there. Yeah,
Just
but
wait
he
till
didn't
wait
want
till
me
you see the
first
Colorado
players.
team store, by the way. That's a lot of that.
I'm sure. All right, boy, he is going to be such a hot button topic all season long.
Yes.
I mean, Colorado's, if they just want attention, baby, they're getting it. They're getting tons of it. All right, when we come back, there's talk the SEC could stay with an 8-game conference schedule. Should playoff voters punish them if they do go the cowardly route? You know my take. Punish them! We'll see if these guys think so. Come on back.